Hi and welcome back to the course. Over the next few videos, we're going to go over some of the major Git commands that you should know, just so you can start using them in your projects from now. I'm here in a folder for this section, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create another folder for code. And as you know, if you're using the Git bash in Windows, or you're in Linux or Mac, you can do this and create a new directory, and then you can change directory and go into the code directory. I'm going to initialize a repository, a Git repository, in this code folder. And what that means is that Git will start being able to tell what files I have changed and what files I have created. And in order to do that, all we have to do is say git init. And that says initialized empty Git repository in there. Now, when we've initialized a Git repository, we can unlock all of the other Git commands. For example, a popular command is git status. Git status tells us a few things. It tells us that we are on branch master. We're going to look at what branches are later on. It tells us this is the first commit. We haven't really done anything yet. And it also tells us there's nothing to commit. That we can create or copy files in, and then we can use git add to track those files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file. A simple way to create a file using the git bash in Windows or just the terminal in Linux or Mac is to use the touch command. For example, you can do touch app.py and that creates a file called app.py. Now let's run git status again. And now you can see that we're still on branch master, that hasn't changed. This is still the initial commit, but now there are some untracked files. And it tells us to use git add to include in what will be committed. Git add is the command that lets us move files from the local file system to the staging area. If you remember from the presentation, the staging area is what's going to be committed, is adding things to be created in the snapshot. So let's add git add app.py. Now I'm going to clear the terminal and run git status again. And now we see that we're still on branch master. This is still the initial commit. We've not committed anything yet. But now we see changes to be committed. And there's a new file that we've added called app.py. Notice how Git knows this is a new file and it isn't something that Git has seen in the past. It makes sense because we've just created this file and we've not committed it yet. We can always use git rm --cached to unstage a file and remove it from the staging area if we don't want to include it in the next commit. The next thing to do is say git commit -m, and here we can write a short message on what this commit includes. For example, I can add created a simple Flask application. And that's a lie because the file is empty, but nevertheless. You can write a short message so that in the future, when you look back through your commits, you can see what each commit did. And it's important to have reasonably descriptive commit messages. And then when that happens, you can see that in the root commit, we added a new commit. And this commit says created a simple Flask application. We are on branch master, and we have generated a new commit, and this is the commit's code. Each commit has a specific code, and that may come in handy later on. And it tells you how many files you changed, how many lines of code you inserted, and how many lines of code you've deleted. And finally, it also tells you that it's created app.py. Don't worry about this for now, that's a bit more advanced. Okay, so this is how you add and commit files in Git. Now we're going to look at how we can put those files in GitHub. I'll see you in the very next video.